Okay, welcome to Under the Dome, another exciting episode. We're now in week two of the regular season. Actually, I'm sorry, we just finished week two. We're in week three of the regular season. Uh, we're going to review week two. I'm your host, Alan Ulrich, along with my partner here, Mr. Sean Williams. How you doing tonight, Sean?
Doing good, man. I'm finally getting over whatever this bug I caught in Tiger Stadium was, man.
Well, you stay on that side because I don't need my phone or my iPad or my computer infected. So you stay
Yeah,
over there.
it's like Stu told me the other day. He said, "Man, you need to log off right now because my devices can't handle any viruses." I gave
Absolutely.
I gave him points for trying.
There you go. There you go.
But hey, I got to experience for the first time ever Saturday night, a Death Valley Saturday night, and I've heard about it. And I had an emotional moment there, waiting for the game to begin. I was sitting there looking down at the field and thinking, wow, Billy Cannon, Hokie Gajan, Burt Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., Dalton Hilliard, Eric Martin, Tommy Hodson, just all these names that I grew up watching, and this is the same grass that they played on, basically. But we had a really good time. We didn't get involved in any of the fights in the parking lot.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, my wife can be kind of tough when it comes to throwing down, so I had to steer her away from a couple of those. But
I'm like Toby Keith. I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm good if I have to be. I got one left in me, so I got to save it.
that's right.
When I absolutely have to beat my way out of somewhere, I got one left in me. That's all I got. So
yeah. Someone asked me the other day, said, "Do you still run?" I said, "Man, I don't even run if someone's chasing me. See, if I have to run or die, I'm going down, brother." Them days are behind me.
I can do a little bit, but I can't do as much as I used to. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get the preliminaries out the way. Thank our sponsors again, Fan First Productions. I got it right this time, didn't I?
Yes, sir.
It's Fan
Yes,
First.
sir.
Okay, good. All right. Fan First Productions. And as always, you can follow us on YouTube, on iTunes, if you just want to hear the audio portion of the show. You can also follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. Am I missing anyone else?
I think that just about covers it. You can reach
Okay.
us. You can reach us by email at underthedomepodcast@gmail.com. And we love to hear from you guys and get your input on what you like, what you didn't like, what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear, and just be kind. Let's not get political or hurtful with our comments.
No, I already did enough political stuff. I used to write columns every week, so I get enough political flack as it is.
No, we are a New Orleans Saints based podcast, and we prefer while the political issues may be very relevant, they do not by most accounts they do not apply to the New Orleans Saints or the outcome of any of their games. So we prefer to leave that topic discussed and debated in other forums.
Absolutely. I don't, I'm looking for the Saints to get away from politics for a while. I don't feel like talking about politics with them. Okay, so we're now 0-2. Yet again, it was a good, close game where one or two plays either way could have made a difference. And just like last week, it was really a last-second throw in the final minutes of the game that really determined the outcome. Ken Crawley was once again involved in that play. And both times he was in a position to make the play and just didn't do it. So, honestly, it is very fair to say we are a couple of plays here or there away from being 2-0. but we're
Sure.
0-2. And you are what your record says you are. I have
Absolutely.
to say this. I have to say this. You know, if you would have told me in the beginning of that morning that the Saints defense was going to keep Odell Beckham out of the end zone, keep Victor Cruz out of the end zone, keep the running backs out of the end zone. In fact, the Giants offense would not score a single touchdown that day. We would lose P.J. Williams to a scary-looking concussion. I would have thought you were crazy
Sure.
because we gave up almost 500 yards to the Oakland Raiders, and the Giants had a better passing attack, a better running attack. Even though they were 3-13, I think last year, or 4-12, something like that, they were a better team than the Raiders. I thought for sure it was going to be another 52 to 49 shootout, because if you look at the series since 2009, that's been like the average score: 48 to 27, 52 to 49. It's been a shootout, and we had a secondary held together with Scotch tape, duct tape, string, you name it. And they were able to do a good job, because I have to credit Dennis Allen. That was a bend but don't break defense, nothing deep, nothing cheap. And it was, like John Facenda said one time, it was a defense of more spit than polish, more, now I just lost it. I'm sorry. But more spit than polish, more grit than glory, something to that effect.
You'll never hear me argue with results. And my take on the whole game the other night was basically this, or the other day was basically this. 2 weeks, we've made the mistake. Our team has made the mistakes, and that's caused them to be at 0-2 at this point in the season. Now, that being said, this is not the end of the world. And I know it sounds like I'm pumping sunshine, but I'm really not. I'm being realistic. And by realistic, I mean this. A loss can be detrimental, or it can work to your benefit. And what I mean by working to your benefit, I can live with a loss as long as I see progress being made. The progress of that defense from the Oakland Raiders game to the New York Giants game, I think that they made they made a lot of progress from week 1 to week 2. Now, it definitely looked like the offense may have taken a step back, but
it's painful to think that Steve Spagnuolo outcoached Sean Payton that day, but he actually did. He came up with a great game plan to not only blitz Brees, but take away the deep stuff and make him throw underneath, where he would get his guys in position to make a tackle, so there's no yards after the catch. And we were doing a lot of the same thing.
Sure.
But with the offense, we shot ourselves in the foot more than the Giants just putting on great defense. And
sure. Like I said,
the drop passes were huge.
Like I said, we've made the mistakes to make us an 0-2 team, and I will not deny or try to sidestep that at all. We, like you said earlier, we are who our record says that we are, and we've earned that 0-2 record. But at the same time, I think it's out of respect to the team and the effort that they've put together. I think it must be allowed that we're an 0-2 team that's what now, 4 points from being a 2-0 team. Of course, close doesn't count for much. But,
no, hand grenades and horseshoes, as the cliche goes.
if you think about it, though, Alan, this can, if you go back to and think about the expectations going into the Raiders game, this could be so much worse right now than it is. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think I listed this today. Going from the preseason, and this is partially why the losses hurt so much, because we haven't won since the end of the 2015 season. We haven't won a game. Didn't win any preseason games. We've lost the first 2 regular season games. But yeah, going into game 1 of this season, the offensive line was horrible. Breeze wasn't be lucky if he'd have survived through week 4, because he was just going to get killed. Okay. The offensive line held up in 2 games in a row, despite the blitz. It hold up enough. But we heard after the Raiders game, the offense looked great as always, because they 500 yards and, a lot of points, 32 points. But now the defense is the problem. The secondary can't cover. You got everybody hurt. Devin Breaux broke his leg. You're already missing your number 1 draft choice, Sheldon Rankins. We're just not going to be able to field a decent defense. Well, the defense held up. In fact, the defense probably played one of the best games they played at least since the 2009 season, if not in the history of the Sean Payton era, So now the thing they're attacking now is the people who drop the passes. Coby Fleener. That's your number 1 target. Travaris Cadet, number 2. Brandon Coleman. Brandon Coleman had 2 passes he could have caught harder than the first one because he was in the position he was in.
Yeah.
And Breeze, it's like he tried to throw a back shoulder pass, and it wasn't quite a back shoulder, and Coleman wasn't in a good position to catch either way. And he tried to make this spectacular one-hand grab, and it just did not work. But I blame Coleman more, not for those passes, although those passes were huge. I blame him more for on that running play. And it was probably Ingram's best play of the game on a sweep. Could have put us really in good field position to kind of ice the game away. And, he got beat, and he just kind of reached out and grabbed the guy at the last second, and he really didn't need to do it because the player he was blocking was trailing behind Unger, and Ingram was already halfway down the field. So it really was a dumb hold because it did make a difference one way or another. Let the guy go, but it's just that gut reaction. I got this guy I'm supposed to block. I'm going to just grab it the last minute and just didn't have, So those are your 3, goats of the game. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the blocked field goal. A lot of people are going after the kicker because he's a rookie. He has a reputation from college, not being very accurate. But if you watch the game, if you watch the film again, the Giants saw something. They overloaded the right side of the line. They got between the B gap, the gap between the guard and the tackle, got between Armstead and Pete, and just overloaded it. And he came in clean and got a hold of that ball. So, yeah, we can say the kicker's kicking a little low, but if a guy comes in clean, it doesn't matter how low or how high you're going to get that lift.
That's right.
He's going to get a piece of it. Whether
Sure.
he gets the whole ball or gets a partial block, it's still going to be a piece of it. So, it's a combination of so many things. And that's kind of, I'm going to take a little bit of extra time here, but that's kind of what I was going to go into here with Fleener, with the kicker. All this is there's an element here of a chemistry. This has to happen for this to happen, for this to happen. With the special teams, you have to have great blocking, a great snap, turn the laces out. He has to get a good, comfortable feel to get the kick. There's just so many different factors. It's hard to pinpoint and say, okay, this guy's the problem, or this is the problem, or this is the problem. in the blocked field goal, everything went wrong. You could see it all kind of unravel. But from the minute they came through that gap, they should have seen the gap problem, but it didn't happen. So I'm sure they're going to work on it this week. With Fleener, and this will be the last one I'm going to do. I'm going to let you talk for a while. Okay.
Well, you're doing fine, brother. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I wore this Jimmy Graham jersey for a reason. I want to talk about Fleener and unrealistic expectations. Because of Jimmy Graham and the success he had as a tight end with the Saints offense, there came this expectation, especially after Graham got paid a lot of money, then he was traded. This expectation that Drew Brees can just turn these guys, whoever it is, into a superstar. Okay? Drew Brees made Jimmy Graham. I can't tell you how many times I've read or heard that comment.
I've said that a couple of times.
Well, here's
the reality.
Before
you educated me.
Well, here's the reality, okay? Drew Brees can take, because he's such a good quarterback, can take an average player and make him a good player, and can take a good player and make him a great player, okay? The system will do that because they're going to put the ball in the air. Peyton and Carmichael are going to draw up plays that are going to get you open, give you opportunities. That's the key, opportunities. Willie Snead is a great example of this. The guy with, I don't want to say average ability because that's not quite accurate, but he's a hard worker. He's a blue-collar kind of receiver. That's why New Orleans loves him so much. He produces. He takes the opportunities and goes with it. Compare that to the Nick Toons, the Adrian Arringtons, Brandon Coleman even.
Sure.
You name the receivers. They are not producing because they are not working as hard as a guy like Willie Snead. All right. He is not blessed with talent like Cooks is blessed with speed, or he's not blessed with the size of a Michael Thomas. Jimmy Graham was the same way. Okay. Jimmy Graham is a guy who was blessed with a lot of size, wingspan, speed. He had all these things, but he worked at being a good tight end to fit in this offense. So you take him out of the equation and you plug somebody else in. Ben Watson comes in. Now, Ben Watson is a 35-year-old, 11-year pro, whatever, okay? He has seen it. He has done it. He's experienced it. So the drop-off isn't that dramatic. But Ben Watson had a career year last year, and it still wasn't as good as Graham.
Well, so, they didn't begin using him a la Graham until halfway through the season, just about.
And even so, he's not split out in the X, he's not split out in the slot. He is playing on a traditional tight end spot. Now he's running some of the same routes, but he's playing on a traditional tight end spot. So Watson has a good year, a career year for him. 700-something yards, almost 800 yards, and 6 touchdowns, I think is what he had. I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but it was pretty close to that.
That sounds about right.
Right. He's not getting over 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards, and 11 TDs like Graham was getting, but that was a good year for him.
Yeah.
So we let Watson go. We bring in Fleener. Once again, the expectations. He's a young guy. He's a guy a lot like Jimmy Graham, got the speed, all these things. So he should be producing, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdown kind of thing, kind of season. Okay. He should be that impact player, the mismatch on the linebacker and so forth. And this is not excusing Fleener, but if Fleener, comes out and say weeks 5 through 12 has some great games where he's catching 5 to 7 passes for 70 yards or 80 yards or 100 yards even, and he finishes the season with 500 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. That is a good season for a tight end, even in this offense. However, at being paid what he is being paid, That's not what people want to see. They want
Yeah.
to see a Jimmy Graham kind of production. They want to see a Pro Bowl tight end who's getting double-digit touchdowns, who is catching everything, being missed a third down, the whole bit.
Yeah.
So I think Fleener's having his problem right now, and again, I'm not excusing it, but I think Fleener is going through some unrealistic expectations. They're expecting him to produce the way a multi-million-dollar free agent investment is supposed to produce, and not as a tight end in a pass-oriented offense who has to kind of get acclimated to the offense.
I don't think
It sounds
I don't think that whatever the reason is for Sneed's, not Sneed, Fleener,
Fleener.
whatever the reason is for his unproductiveness, I don't think it's felt as bad as it would be without Sneed and Cooks and Thomas stepping up the way that they have. But at the same time, like you say, I believe that there have been some unrealistic expectations placed on him. I agree with you there. But I've read several reports that say he's struggling to learn the offense. He's still at week 2 in the season. He's running the wrong pass patterns, stuff like that, and that's disconcerting because
he dropped two catchable balls. I mean, they were right in his hands, and he needs to make those plays.
Sure.
And they were critical drops.
Those kind of things, when you're 0-2, are magnified even greater than they would be if you were 2-0. As long as you're winning, nothing's wrong. You're fine tuning the machine. But when you haven't won a game yet, you just start lobbing hand grenades.
Well, you got $40 million in dead money, from basically 4 or 5 free agents that ended up being busts for you. With the Spiller deal that just happened, with the Gillette, with the Browner, with Bird still, people feel like they can't do anything right anymore. So, when this guy has a bad game, and he had a bad game, okay, he dropped a lot of catchable passes, instantly becomes, oh, here we go again. We just spent all this money and we get another bad player, just like, Stephon Anthony's not playing right now. Another failed draft pick.
Do you think that's fair, though? From a fan's perspective, do you think that that's a fair way of approaching it?
It's a human way of approaching. It's how people are going to react to things when things are not going right. Like you said, we're 0-2. Okay, so they're going to pick on anything that could possibly be wrong. Here we go again. We're 0-2 for the 3rd consecutive season. This is what's wrong. These guys don't know what they're doing. They're grabbing people, throwing money at players, and that all they do is signing bums, or all they do is drafting bums. Nobody knows how to pick players. Peyton can't coach. His offense is predictable. He's got his favorite coaches. He won't fire them. Just go down with Mickey Loomis, just a money counter. He doesn't know how to evaluate talent. All these things come out because you're not winning.
Yeah.
So people just grasping for anything to show, to blame because you're not winning, because you should be winning.
Yeah.
You're supposed to win every game.
Yeah.
And that goes for 32 teams in the NFL. Every fan base that's losing right now is saying you should be winning every game, except for the Cleveland Browns. They expect to lose because, it's the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, my buddy Jack is going to be disconcerted over
that. Wait till we start talking about Atlanta. Atlanta's like Moss Isley Spaceport. You'll never find them a wretched hive of scum and villainy. But anyway, go ahead. I gotta say it before Josh comes in, because once he comes in, I can't rip that stuff anymore.
We're going to be joined just any moment now by Atlanta Falcons journalist Josh Schultz.
That explains the disturbance in the force.
Yeah. But hey, I only got one of them this week, so we don't have the
There we go. No Sith Lords.
no Sith.
Okay. Did you have
But
you had a
anyway,
question? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I was going to ask you if you had a question of the week before we bring Josh in.
oh, okay, yeah, yes. Actually, the question this week comes from our director of media, Mr. John B. Pinto. We love you, John. and actually, his status had nothing to do with this. He had a question that I actually am beginning to hear quite a bit. Said, here's a question. What do you maybe think of making a trade for Garoppolo for
No.
rumors of, let me finish. Rumors of
Okay.
the Patriots maybe doing something based on how long Brady or how Brady will look coming back. I personally, I don't see it happening because Garoppolo is going to be coming from New England. He's going to be too expensive a prospect for the Saints to sit on the bench when he can make money to be the starter elsewhere. If that makes sense.
Well, the way they're dropping quarterbacks left and right,
Yeah, that's true.
There are 32 teams, but there's probably about 20 starters out there playing quarterback right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And here's the thing with any Patriots player. You have to realize the Patriots, for whatever reason, have a system. Belichick has developed a system, and he is the system. And he has developed players that succeed in his system. Players out and put them in your system, and they're not nearly as productive. You talk about the Saints players bombing elsewhere. Look at the Patriots players, and when they go off to somewhere else. LeGarrette Blount signs a contract, goes with the Steelers. Now, the Steelers run the football. Steelers know how to run the football. They built that team to run the ball. He first gets the drug bust because he could have been a great running back, but he got high. He did not succeed as a Steeler.
Sure.
The Patriots pick him up the next week, plug him in, and beat the Steelers with him. It's just the way that system works. Rob Ninkovich did not do well over here. We cut him twice, okay? He goes to New England. He went to the Dolphins in between the two times we cut him. Goes to the Dolphins. Doesn't work in the Dolphins either. Goes to New England, and New England knows how to make him a good player because whatever happens there, whatever devil, Belichick sold his soul to for a winning team, he knows how to convert these players into great players. And that's my thing is it's a system. So I try to avoid New England. Matt Castle's another example. Matt Castle does very well with the Patriots. He is not a great starter or even a competent backup anymore anywhere else. So, it's hard to say. I would rather the Saints try and work, through the draft or look at somebody to develop on their own in their own system with, whatever their strengths are. Are you trying to get in touch with Josh? Is he here yet? Does he know where we are?
Apparently the link isn't working.
Oh, great. Okay. Can you give him the link that you got? Well, try using the link that I sent you and see if that works. Meanwhile, I'll kind of start it off. Once again, we play Atlanta on Monday Night Football. I hope you can hear this.
Oh, yeah.
It is the 10-year. You remember when? 10 years ago, it was the opening of the Dome.
You sound way
Steve
too
Gleason.
much like yourself.
The unbelievable block punt. It's recovered in the end zone by Curtis DeLoach for a touchdown, and this Superdome went wild. Yeah, it was an incredible night. I was there. I was in the end zone where this happened. It happened literally right in front of us, and it was one of those things where I jumped up screaming about the block punt. Then it's just like the next instant, Curtis DeLoach has got the ball in the end zone to touchdown, and just the place exploded. It was an unbelievable feeling, and it'll forever be one of the greatest nights in Saints history. So Atlanta, once again, they have to live with this for the rest of their lives because we have a statue of it. It gets mentioned over and over and over again because of Gleason's no white flags in his ALS. So here we are, 10 years later, third week of the season. Naturally, Atlanta has to come to the Dome and relive this nightmare again. So I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think with Atlanta being 1-1 and us being 0-2, desperate for a win, we are going to be looking at a team that wants to finally put to rest the Gleason block punt. Okay, they want to take it out on us. The good news is we have a 12th man, and I'm not talking about the Superdome crowd. I'm talking about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan will do something for us to help us win the game. That's what I'm counting on. Where is my boy? I'm going to have all these Atlanta jokes for him, and he's not going to be here. Have you heard back from him yet, Josh? Oh, he's frozen. Anything. He might have gone away to try and find him. Okay. Previewing real quick then before Josh comes in. My predictions of are you back, Sean? Have you heard from him? Nope, not yet. My predictions of what's going to happen. I think first off that the offense is going to be out there throwing bombs left and right. I think there'll be a concentrated effort to get the running game going. You're going to see a lot more Mark Ingram. You might even see Lasco in a little bit because, Sean's hearing the questions, the comments about we're not running the football enough. You'll probably see a lot of running plays in the beginning, try and soften up that Atlanta defense. And I think you'll see a big night out of Cooks. You'll see a big night out of Thomas and, of course, Snead. You might even see what's his name come. Oh, what's going on? Is he back? I see you moving. I see you moving.
Can we try to get the link to Josh once more?
Let me see if I can.
Okay.
I'm probably going to disappear for a minute. Let's see.
I apologize.
Hey, it wouldn't be technology if we didn't have something to screw up. Hang on.
See, I work from the Hangouts app.
Okay. I got to make sure to spell his name right.
Okay, you got me back now?
I got you back. I'm sorry, guys. Y'all got to watch me hunt and peck here, but it's a little bit harder when you want to make sure you spell it right. I don't have the light on. Okay, I just resent it, so I hope that works.
Okay.
I'm hoping
He said that he got the link,
but it's not letting him come in.
Yeah.
Because it's an EDU address. I'm worried that his network system is going to block it.
You think?
Possibility.
Well,
he may have done it. He may have done it before. I don't know, but it's not the same address we had 2 Saturdays ago. So that's what I'm worried about. I know my wife's school teacher, and her her email account, the filters block certain things if they think it's a virus or they think it's social media or whatever. You know, they've got
social disease. Oh,
I don't
I'm
know.
live
Oh,
again.
yes, you are live. Yes, you are live.
I promised myself I wasn't going to sing for this.
No. Okay.
We'll try to get Josh on.
I'll just keep stalling. You know. You want me to start singing "Putting on the Ritz"? I'll start doing "Putting on the Ritz" like Young Frankenstein. When you blue, I'm sorry.
Say we did.
Yeah, you back? Okay. What I was going to say was I would not be surprised to see Fleener have a big night too. Monday night. You know, the Saints are really good on Monday Night Football. They're really good on Sunday Night Football. You know, I expect them to do really well. So we'll see how this goes.
I seem to be losing you on a regular basis now.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask your thoughts on the Atlanta game.
I think that we get off the schneid. I want to say that the Atlanta's 1-1, but the game that they won last week, they just kind of, for lack of a better way of putting it, backed into. And you got the 10-year anniversary of the return to the Superdome. You got Steve Gleason night. Team that's mad because and undefeated and they're 0-2. I think that all of those things combined for a long night for Atlanta. I look at it this way. This team it's going to win some games. It's going to beat some opponents that they're not supposed to beat. Things are slow right now because we have still, even after a year now, because I said this a year ago, and I'm still saying the same thing. We have a very young team. Anytime that your depth is made up of rookies or young guys.
Undrafted free agents. You got
Yeah.
undrafted free agents.
When that's what your depth is made of, and by happenstance or circumstance, you wind up having to go to your depth and they're young guys, as we saw last year with Delvin Breaux. The only way that experience and that knowledge is going to come is at a trial by fire. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to have to learn from those mistakes as they make them. And I don't think that 0-2 is the end of the world. Now, some of the teams in the league, for example, Philadelphia, do you think at the midway point of the season that they're still going to be undefeated at 8-0?
No.
No. The thing is, as I've said many times before, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Start off slow. They have to find their chemistry and their groove. They start off slow and end up hot. You got teams that come out of the gates like gangbusters. They peter out about halfway through the season and wind up going on a losing skid at the end of the season. Like I said, I don't think that 0-2 is the end of the world, and I think that
you've got a team, and I keep trying to tell people this too. You know, you've got a team that's, as we keep saying, is young, but they are. If you look at the games, they are playing better than the 2 7-9 teams we had previously.
Absolutely.
You see a lot of guys making plays. Let's talk about some of the good free agents that the Saints have signed. We already mentioned Willie Snead, but probably the MVP of this defense right now is Craig Robertson. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Sure.
Linebacker. And I don't know if it's because for the past 2 years we have not had NFL caliber linebackers out there playing. You know, when you've got players like Hawthorne, you've got players like Humbler, you know, you've got those guys out there. to see Craig Robertson out there actually making plays. He's a linebacker who can actually cover. Okay, you're seeing it's just so much more enjoyable because you're now seeing guys in the right position doing the right thing. And very quietly, Nick Fairley is doing a yeoman job for somebody who's supposed to just be a rotational player. You know, he's playing at a high level. And we found, what was it, 2 weeks ago against Oakland, he was one of their higher rated defensive tackles. So they got him more reps against the Giants, and he played even better against the Giants. Tyler Davidson is coming into his own. You know, you're starting to see some pieces come into place. So when Sheldon Rankins comes back after week 8, you know, when Sheldon Rankins comes into the game, he's going to be running the rotation, and he's going to help this defense get even better. And then Burrow will come in, and Burrow will now be with guys who have been playing. So he will not have to feel the pressure of being the shutdown guy right away. You know, so you're going to see guys coming. Von Bell got a lot of playing time against the Giants, and he played well. You are going to see a defense that's going to grow together. You're going to see a defense becomes better in the next couple of years. I think this team is much closer to the 2008 Saints than they are the 2014, 2015 Saints. And that 2008 team had something happen to them that became the mantra for 2009. That 2008 team could not finish games. So what became the mantra? Finish strong. Finish. Well, what are we seeing already in the first 2 games? Okay, we saw in game 1, the Raiders gave up 22. Saints gave up 22 points to the Raiders because he didn't finish. In game 2, it boiled down to a last drive by the Giants because the Saints didn't finish. Okay, we're going to see that's going to be the push now. Finish. And when this team finishes, they are going to win. And that's what I think is going to happen. We're going to see that kind of stuff. So I'm excited. I don't walk away from the games going, oh, my God, I can't believe I just watched this. This is horrible. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This has got to go. This is bad. We're not seeing that, okay? We're seeing guys that are in position to make plays, but it's not happening yet. It's going to happen. And that's what I was trying to get across with Fleener. You know, it's going to happen eventually. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, okay? You're going to see these things happen. And maybe it happens, you know, Monday night. Maybe we finally get that game where everything kind of goes in the right place, just like we did, you know, last year when Atlanta came in at 5-0, and we pretty much torpedoed their season because they went on a 3-8 slide after that game. And the same thing with, you know, in 2012. We had the worst defense. It's funny. Both times we had the worst defense in NFL history. 2012, Atlanta comes in undefeated. And here come the Saints with the worst defense in history, and they torpedo their season again. We may see something like that again. I mean, you know, it's a divisional game. You throw out the proverbial records, you know, the whole bit. So I don't think we're going to get Mr. Josh tonight, unfortunately. We might have to if we do this again, we might have to schedule this guy first thing and go into it from there because he's having trouble getting in. Sean, are you hearing from him? Oh, you're frozen again. Okay. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and do this. Let me go into the extra points.
Okay.
You heard me?
Yeah. I heard a bit of it. We're gonna try to work out whatever it is that's wrong and try to get Josh on here next week.
Okay.
To give his that's the only.
I think we should move him to the front too. That way we have some time before we go on the air to get him, you know, make sure everything's working right, rather than have him try and jump in the middle of the show while we're live. That'll probably be the best thing. Extra points. It's time for the rant.
Okay.
Do you want to do yours first, since you were having so much trouble?
I can try. Mine actually this week has absolutely nothing to do with football. There was an incident over the weekend in New York where there were bombs placed, apparently from all.
Oh, great. Poor Sean. I don't know. And guys, when y'all are watching this, in the feedback, let us know who is freezing, if it's me or if it's Sean.
There was a senseless killing in Tulsa of what seemed to be an innocent guy that was gunned down by the police. I don't put myself in the position of being in judgment of either side of this, but you know, this has got to stop. I don't agree at all with the things that are going on in the world right now, and it's a scary place to be. We all need to find a way to work these things out and to get along. Football, professional sports can be a way of bringing us all together. And in the world famous words of the guy, his name escapes me now, Rodney King, can't we all just get along? A guy, apparent from all indications, a guy was senselessly gunned down.
Ladies and gents, he will have Wi-Fi next week. I promise you. He's working on that right now, so we can stop freezing like this, to make sure it's not just simply a case of, oh, you got it? You're back?
Yeah.
I'm bragging about your future Wi-Fi, so we can make sure it's the connection and not the actual software we're using here.
Yes.
Well, you know, my extra point thing is relatively minor in comparison. Mine is about Sunday pregame shows compared to your serious conversation. ESPN has just revamped their entire NFL countdown. I don't know if anybody's even paid attention to it. I haven't watched it. And here's why. What ESPN and some of these pregame shows do not get is you've got fans from 32 teams that are watching these pregame shows. They want to hear you talk about 32 teams. They don't want to hear you spend 30 seconds on Jacksonville versus Cleveland and then spend the next 45 minutes hyping the Dallas-Washington game. Okay? Washington has not been relevant in 20 years. All right? Yes, they play in the NFC East. Yes, they are the nation's capital. And I know the Browns and the Jaguars are not relevant. But the NFC East bias gets old real fast. And this has been this way forever. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And if it's not the NFC East, it's San Francisco. It's
the AFC East.
Yes, New England. It's the Jets. You know, it's never going to be about, let's spend some time talking about, I don't know, the Super Bowl champions, Denver Broncos. How are they doing this with a rookie quarterback who's never taken a snap in the NFL prior to 2 Thursday nights ago? God forbid, let's talk about Kansas City. You know, let's spend time in the heartland for a little while. I don't know. Let's talk about the Bengals and this coach, and let's review his record as a head coach. He is a 500 coach, okay? Let's criticize him. Let's talk about him, all right? Let's talk about the NFC South and how parity is in the NFC South, because despite Carolina winning division 3 years in a row, you know, you've got 3 teams in there who could probably win a division in most of the other divisions in the NFL, except for maybe the AFC East and right now the AFC West, but they could probably win the division in the other in any of the other divisions. Okay, um, it drives me crazy, and it's been a bugaboo of mine. And they've revamped this cast with all new young faces. They got rid of all the old guys. Chris Carter got his Hall of Fame, and that's the only reason why he was even on the network. But they got rid of Tom Jackson, got rid of the old guys to put these people in there. I sat through 15 minutes of the show, and it was the same thing, just different people saying the same old crap. I enjoy the Fox pregame show so much more because they got more out of it in an hour than than ESPN can do in 2 hours. Okay?
Sure.
That's my rant. That's my rant.
I
You want to learn how to do a show right, you watch Fox. That's how a pregame show is supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Boy, it's a shame. We really structured this because we were trying to give Josh a lot of time to talk about the Atlanta previews. One of the things that he had said in the Saturday night show, kickoff show 2 weeks ago, was Matt Ryan is really, kind of on his last leg with Atlanta fans. They're ready to kick him out of the franchise. Now, in the first game of the season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Ryan did not have a good day. Against the Raiders, he had a much better game. But we're talking about the Raiders again. This is a defense we hung 500 yards on. So he had a good game against the Raiders. So I guess what I was going to ask Josh was, are we seeing an improved Matt Ryan, or are we seeing the same yo-yo Matt Ryan? From what I can tell, we're seeing the same yo-yo Matt Ryan. We're not seeing an up-and-coming quarterback anymore. We're seeing a guy who plays the level of competition.
In kickoff special, Josh alluded to the fact that Matt Ryan is wearing out his welcome really quickly with Atlanta, and he felt like
it's every time you just start to make a point too, Sean. I watched the Atlanta defense. That pass coverage seems to be better, but that pass rush isn't any better. I think we have a good shot of dealing with this pass rush. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying that Josh alluded to the fact that it looks like it's going to come to a head for the fans to a choice between Dan Quinn as the head coach and Matt Ryan as the quarterback, because it's appearing right now that both can't survive.
Well, Atlanta's got, and I got to be careful how I'm going to phrase this. Michael Vick casts a huge shadow on the Atlanta Falcons franchise. It represents a racial divide in that city. There are a lot of people who like that kind of quarterback. And when I say that kind, I'm talking about a running quarterback who is a superstar. You see it in terms of, Russell Wilson. You see it in terms of RG3 his first year when he was actually healthy and worth a damn. The quarterback who can make plays with his legs, the Cam Newtons, that kind of quarterback, a guy who can make plays with his legs as well as his arm. And because of the way the Vick years ended with the dogfighting, the federal prosecution, the prison term, and everything else like that, you've got a lot of Falcon fans who still feel like, see, I got to be careful how my phrases, because I love animals, but I don't want to say it was a much to do about nothing, but you've got people who honestly believe that hey man, it was dogs kind of thing. And as disgusting as that is, I'm not trying to get into a justification of dog fighting at all. But there's a lot of fans who feel like the punishment didn't fit the crime.
Sure.
Okay. And they felt like Atlanta got screwed out of this, and they lost a superstar who could have possibly made that franchise relevant. And to have Matt Ryan come in, who is the opposite.
The NFC Championship game.
Yeah. And have Matt Ryan come in, and he is in many ways the opposite of Vic. He is not, he is hyped to be a superstar, but he's a drop back passer. He is not a, he's a milquetoast kind of guy. I mean, he really is, you know, he is not the kind of guy that people just look at and go, yeah, I want his jersey. I want to be like Matt. You know, they want to be like Mike. You had the Mike Vick experience where, you know, you're a playmaker. You're exciting, okay? And I don't like Vic, you know, and it's not just because he played for Atlanta. I don't like those kind of quarterbacks anyway. I don't like the running quarterbacks because, you know, I want somebody to beat the crap out of him for running around like that. You know, it's just how I am.
You know,
I like the same drop back passers.
Well,
oh, poor Sean, every time.
We're old school. You hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
You and I are a lot alike in that we're like old school. We're more traditionalist. You know, the era that you and I came up in, obviously is much different than the era that is now.
The Terry Bradshaw I knew was winning 4 Super Bowls and throwing to Lynn Swann and John Stallworth, not an old bald fat guy on Fox pregame.
Yeah. Yeah,
and same with Dan Fouts. Dan Fouts was another quarterback that I loved. You know, so
those old Miami Dolphins, San Diego Charger games.
Greatest game I ever saw. Greatest game, bar none. Greatest game I ever saw. The Dolphins Chargers championship game or divisional playoff game in the AFC 1981. Greatest game.
Absolutely. Tony Nathan, baby.
Hey, hook and lateral. You had Chuck Muncie there. You had Wes Chandler, 2 ex-Saints. You know, Kellen Winslow had the game of his career.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. James Brooks.
And as a reward for winning that game, they got to go play in, 40 or 50 below
the Ice Bowl. Ice Bowl 2. Ice Bowl 2. I watched that game. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I've never seen, you know, and I was upset. I wanted the Chargers to go.
That's when football.
Yeah, I wanted the Chargers and the 49ers to play each other in that Super Bowl. That's what would have been the Super Bowl that year. That would have been a hell of a matchup. Eric Coryell versus Bill Walsh in the West Coast offense. Which offense would have been the offense of the 80s? I've always had this. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm back.
Okay. Well, you know, Ernie Zampese, and we're running out of time here, but Ernie Zampese was the architect of Air Coryell. Okay. Ernie Zampese basically taught that offense to Norv Turner. Norv Turner takes that offense, goes to Dallas in the late 80s, 89, 90, and teaches it to Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Novacek, Emmitt Smith, and you created Air Coryell, a version of Air Coryell in Dallas, playing the 49ers who were running the West Coast offense in those games in the early 90s, the Cowboys against the 49ers. So it would be interesting to see Dan Fouts, Wes Chandler, Kellen Winslow in that offense take on Joe Montana pre-Jerry Rice. Joe Montana, pre-Roger Craig. This is Dwight Clark. This is Freddie Solomon. This is I don't remember the running back's name anymore. It was a funny name.
Wendell Tyler.
No, Wendell Tyler was one of them because he came from the Rams. But you know,
Bill Ring.
Yeah, there was number 49. I don't remember his name. I can picture the highlights. I just don't remember his name. But yeah,
Earl
and
Cooper.
that would have been an interesting dynamic to see that happen and then replay again 12 years later. And we are taking elements of the West Coast offense and also Ernie Zampese's Air Coryell offense, combining the two to make our offense. So it's really unique to see how the history kind of just carries itself all the way through. Um, so next time we hope we have our guest. We'll have to set him up early so
Yeah.
Josh can talk about what he saw because it'll be fresh in his mind. It's the day after. Remember, we play on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
So Sunday will be actually a very calm day for me for a change.
Not me, man. It'll be boring.
I'll watch some of the other games.
I watch the games, but it's hard for me to get into something that I'm not emotionally invested in.
Well, I'm not playing fantasy football. I sold my team to my son, so I'll let him run my fantasy teams now. First time in over 20 years.
I played fantasy football 1 year, which was last year, and I had a perfect season. I lost every game that I played.
I lost the championship game, so that's how I was. I was the 2008 New England Patriots. Or 2007. Sorry, the game was played in 2008, but 2007. So join us next time. We'll have Josh. We'll get him early. We'll get his thoughts on what happened Monday night, good, bad, and ugly. We'll preview the next game, which is the San Diego Chargers game in San Diego, I believe. And
Yes.
That'll be Breeze's first trip back to San Diego since he had his injury back in 2005. So this is going to be a really emotional game for Drew. I expect us to be at the bye at 2-2 because I think we can beat the Chargers. I think we can definitely beat the Falcons. Just we'll see if we survive, if everyone comes out healthy, we don't lose any more people, and guys start coming back. I'm curious to see. I don't expect PJ Williams to play tomorrow, Monday night. I do expect him back, though, for the Chargers game. That was a scary, scary hit he took, and he was playing really well, too. That's the unfortunate part. So hope to see you next time. Sean, you have any final thoughts? Or are you just going to sit there pensively in a frozen screen again? I'm going to superimpose Jack Nicholson's face. So every time you come in, you come back, I'll get, here's Johnny. There you go, John. A little Shining reference for you. And he also will have Wi-Fi hopefully next time so we don't freeze anymore. So for Sean Williams and I, thank you again for joining us Under the Dome. Don't forget to send us your questions, comments, criticisms. Stop wearing that Jimmy Graham jersey. He's been gone. I'm sick of hearing about Jimmy Graham. You are like Jimmy Graham's official chairman of his fan club. I'm tired of hearing about Jimmy Graham. Anything else, Sean?
If you wear Jimmy Graham's jersey again, we're going to bring Stu on to either. No, wait, was it Stu or Marty?
Marty. Marty's the one who hates it.
Yeah, we'll have to get Marty on here to talk you down off that ledge.
Nah. Just got to replace him. That's all. Anyway, good night, everybody.
Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for supporting us. We love you guys. Love to hear from you. Good night. See you next week.